AITA for refusing to babysit my stepchildren's half and step-siblings for their mom. I, 31F, am married to James, 35 meters, and we have a 3.5-year-old son together. James also has 2 children, Grace, 13F, and Luke, 14 meters, with his ex-wife, Sharon, 36F. Sharon and James have been divorced for 12 years, and ever since Sharon has been in a string of relationships and had 4 additional children who are ages 10 and under. She is currently married and has 3 stepchildren who are 7 and under. James has always been willing to help Sharon out if needed so the kids can see them getting along. And so they know he always does his best for them and their mom. But now he wants me to go a step further than he ever has, and he wants me to babysit all of Sharon's kids since I'm a SOM technically. But I do run my own online business to earn money, and I'm able to do that around everything else in my life. He said Sharon is struggling to find childcare for all the children she has, and her husband is a bit of a deadbeat. I found out after that Grace asked her dad to help out because she was worried about her mom. I told James that was too much for me. He said he would help where he could and I wouldn't need to worry about the money side because he would take care of it. I told him that's a lot though, and honestly too overwhelming for me. He was frustrated with me, and I told him I didn't appreciate the pressure he was putting on me. Later, Sharon calls and tells me she wants to start dropping off the kids after Christmas. I told her I hadn't agreed. She told me James had told her I would do it. She then told me that I should be willing to help out and it would win the kids over. Grace and Luke. To me, and maybe even to my son, their half-brother. I told James he had no right to promise anything on my behalf. He told me he believed I would be on board, and he was surprised I was so against it when I never had a problem with him helping. Then he asked me to give me a reason that couldn't be helped with getting someone in to help me take care of the kids. I told him he can just pay for people then if he's so determined, but I won't be babysitting. I also told him we need marriage counseling because of this. Also, and this might be meaningless, but I feel I should confess it here. Another reason I am unwilling, even if it wasn't so much hard work, is the fact Grace and Luke have never shown an interest in my son. But they're half-siblings from their mom and step-siblings from her? It's totally different. I think it's because they consider all of them, even the steps, their mom's kids. But with my son, he's mine and not as much their dad's. They are not fond of me or of their mom's husband. It's something I have been working on. But I admit the idea of having all the kids, and as my son gets a bit older, him watching his 2 siblings treat their other siblings so much better makes me say no anyway. Anyway, Sharon is calling me an ass and saying I am not thinking of my stepkids. James thinks I should have been willing to work with him to figure out a compromise. AITA? NTA. Him voluntolding you is a big problem in your marriage. Watching 7 children along with your own while working from home is not feasible in any way, shape, or form. I'm trying to do the math here. She has 6 biological kids, 4 under 10 and 3 stepchildren. So he wants you to watch 7 additional kids during the day? I'd say no for the sheer chaos that would cause. Also, you work. Stop calling yourself a SOM. You work from home with a flexible schedule. And keep reminding your husband of that. NTA. I do think you have some level of obligation to help with Grace and Luke. They are your husband's kids. And when you marry and or date someone with kids, it's package deal. Sometimes you'll have to help take care of your partner's kids. And you're going to be an adult in their life, no matter what. But this? Sharon has been in a string of relationships and had 4 additional children who are ages 10 and under. She is currently married and has 3 stepchildren who are 7 and under. Nobody can seriously expect you to take care of 7 additional kids on a regular basis. That's not babysitting. That's a nascent Lord of the Flies situation. It's also extremely problematic that your husband committed you to this insanity even though you refused. That means he really doesn't respect you at all. This isn't grounds for counseling. This is grounds for divorce. If he wants care for all these 9 kids and money isn't an option, he needs to put them in childcare. Or else hope that one of Sharon's exes disguises himself as a nanny in order to become close to the children. NTA. Are you sure this is where you want to be? He seems to parent with his ex better than with you. He hasn't agreed to marriage counseling, he told her. You would babysit, still wants you to babysit even though she calls you names. He isn't helping the kids except you, or your son in the family is mad that you aren't taking on this work. There is a lot going on here and I feel bad for your son. How the other kids treat him when adults aren't around. You might want to pull out of all this dysfunction before it gets worse, because I'm thinking after Christmas you may find all those children in your home. No one appreciates you or wants you there. Good luck. UK. The number of children involved would get a daycare closed down due to inadequate adult supervision. All it would take would be one accident that ended up needing medical treatment and you could be prosecuted for neglect and risk losing your own child. Your stepchildren wouldn't count as they are no longer considered in need of adult supervision. But for 8 children a minimum of 2 adults is needed. More if there are under 5s. NTA. NTA. Babysitting more than 2 kids at one time is overwhelming. Add in all of the other issues here and I totally understand. NTA. And this bizarre. Are you sure your husband isn't sleeping with her? Because that is the only reason I think anyone would even propose this bizarre scenario. NTA. If your husband is so concerned about it, have him take care of the kids. You're not an AH. You work. Just because you work from home doesn't mean you can mind a house full of kids. And even if you didn't, you're not a daycare. You're not responsible for your partner's ex's poor choices or situation. Edit. I want to be clear as to why I'm calling this NTA. There are 10 children involved here. Your own son, Grace, Luke, 4 children under 10, 3 stepchildren under 7. This is not a, can you watch my kid for me for a few hours? It's, can you set up and run a full-blown daycare for me? For free? Quote. In Ta. Where are the stepkids' other parents? That is a lot of kids to put on one person. It would be one thing if it was an emergency like the mom was in the hospital, but they completely want you to be a daycare. NTA. I'm a guy. And I'm honestly gonna tell you. Your husband has agreed to this because he knows he won't be the one doing the main heavy lifting of all these kids. Apart from throwing money at it, he will only do the absolute bare minimum of anything to do with all them kids. I guarantee you. Babysitting 7 children becomes running a daycare, but not getting paid. I'm fairly certain there are limits to the number of children a home daycare can have before requiring a second person. Are you certain your husband and his ex's relationship hasn't continued? Because this is not a normal ask. Info. Out of interest, does Sharon work? NTA. A reasonable suggestion from your husband in this situation would be asking if your 2 stepchildren live with you, not expecting you to run a daycare for free for other people's 9 children, of which only 2 are related to your husband. Counseling would be a good idea. Cuss, what kind of weird hold does his ex have on him that he thinks it's in any way reasonable for him to ask this if you? NTA. They are all trying to use you. Don't let them. If they just drop the kids at your home and drive off, and you do watch the kids, they will continue to do so. Don't watch even one of those 7 kids for any length of time. If anyone leaves any child at your home without your permission, immediately call the police. That's abandonment and a sign that CPS should investigate to see if the children are being properly cared for. NTA, hang on. Are you saying that your husband has already committed you to watching? Does math? 9 other kids? Is he FFR? NTA. Those children are nothing to do with you. I don't understand your husband's viewpoint at all. It's all very well for him to be generous with your time and your resources. I agree that he should pay for childcare for Sharon's children if he wants to help her. His wish to help you is nothing to do with you. I also find it iffy that he sort of thought you would be on board after Christmas. That means that he thought he could manipulate you. NTA. A compromise would be James doing all the babysitting. This is a non-negotiable, and I would be packing up my stuff until he gets his head out of his butt. There is no way I would ever consider doing this. It's great that they get along. That's healthy and needed. What's not needed is you being a nanny for her kids. This tea is crazy. NTA. Obviously. The only I want to add is about your child's half-siblings. I believe it is mostly your husband's duty to make your child and their siblings come together and get to know each other, and you as well. I thinks that's the only way for the children to bond. But all the other Sharon's children have nothing to do with this, and if she wants a babysitter, she should hire one. It's one thing to hang out together and get to know each other, but babysitting 10 children, well, it's something else. It's hard work. NTA. Make this your hill to die on. Also tell him to never volunteer you for things again. He should ask you in private first. Not an Sharon needs to find her own childcare solution for 7 kids. If your husband wants to help Sharon so much he can babysit for 7 kids.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.